What's up, nerds? My name is Steve from Flipping the Nerd, and this is my top 10 favorite Walt Disney World attractions. I am a mega fan of Walt Disney World. I go every single year without fail because I absolutely love the magic that it brings, the fact that I can kind of be worry-free and just taken into Walt Disney's vision and imagination. So I've always wanted to do this list, my top 10 favorite attractions at Walt Disney World, because I love a lot of them, as you can see, which is probably obvious what my number one's going to be. But that, whatever the case may be, I'm excited to do this list and share it with you. Just one ground rule before. I haven't been to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge yet. It opened like last week. I'm going very soon. But the Star Wars rides will not be part of this list because I haven't done them yet. So let's get into it and start with a few honorable mentions. The very first one is the People Mover at the Magic Kingdom. The People Mover is basically just a ride that you sit in, and it goes around Tomorrowland and into the Space Mountain, and you get to see a little bit of history. You get to see Walt's vision of the original Epcot, which was a city when he imagined it. You get to see inside the Space Mountain. You get to see inside Buzz Lightyear's which one is it? I forget which ride it is, but one of the Buzz Lightyear's ride at Magic Kingdom. And you get to see a bunch of little other stuff and get a nice tour of what Tomorrowland is all about. It's one that rarely has a line that I always love to do. It's a good relaxing ride. It's long enough that you can kind of rest your feet for a bit, get out of the sun, and see some really cool things on the way. Then we go to Slinky Dog over at Hollywood Studios. Now, this could very well be a top 10 ride, but I've only done it once because it opened last year and it was so busy when I went that I only got it to ride it once, and I absolutely loved it, but I don't want to put it on my top 10 just quite yet because I've only ridden it once. Everything on here I've ridden at least like 5 to 10 plus times, so I have a good basis on where it fits on the list, and this one I just didn't have enough riding time for me to put it on, but I did at least want to give it an honorable mention. I do plan to ride it a bunch when I go this year, though, because people have shifted their attention to Star Wars, so I'll be able to go to Toy Story Land and check this one out, and maybe I'll do another top 10 in the future, and there's a good chance this one could be included in my future top 10. Then we go back to Magic Kingdom and go to Space Mountain. Space Mountain is a dark ride. You are in a rocket. There's 3 people. You're actually seated, at least in the Walt Disney World version, single. So you're alone with 2 people behind you or front or whatever the case may be, 3 per rocket. It's a pretty fast ride. It's mostly done in the dark. There are some light parts which are really cool. It's not a top 10 for me. I know it would be for most people, just because I find it really like janky and I don't know, like I don't feel super comfortable being on it. I am a pretty big dude, so that probably doesn't help. But it is a really cool ride. I love, especially like the liftoff part when you're going, into space, and there's just a lot to love about it. It's an iconic ride at Walt Disney World, but didn't quite earn a spot in my top 10. Then we go over to Epcot for one of my favorite rides, but only an honorable mention, and that's Living with the Land. Now, this, by definition, isn't like much of a ride. You're in a boat and you get to see kind of the history of America's farmland, and you then get to go into where they grow vegetables and fish and like stuff like that for the restaurant at Epcot. It's a really cool experience. Again, it's another one that rarely has a long line, one that's just enjoyable to relax, get out of the sun, and you get to see some really cool stuff. I've taken the behind the seeds tour. That's when they show you kind of a more in-depth look of how they do the vegetable growing and stuff. And it's really fascinating. I didn't think gardening would ever be anything that I would be fascinated in, but Walt Disney World did a good job with that, and it's really cool to get an idea of all that on this attraction, Living with the Land, so it did deserve at least an honorable mention. And finally, we go back to Magic Kingdom again for Big Thunder Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain is a roller coaster where you're on a train and you go through the canyons and get to see a lot of cool kind of canyon things. It's a very fast ride, which is awesome. It's a great place to see the fireworks if you happen to go around that time. You get to go in a boneyard and stuff. It goes a little bit inside, but it's mostly an outside attraction, and it's one that I enjoy doing very much. But there just happens to be 10 more that I like better than this, although it was very close to getting on my top 10, but didn't quite make it there. So let's see what I did put on my top 10 list. Number 10. Aerosmith's Rockin' Roller Coaster over at Hollywood Studios. This is a very fast ride. It's a roller coaster. It goes upside down twice, I believe, and it's one that I enjoy doing very much. I'm always a little worried about losing my stuff on that ride because Disney, unlike Universal, for example, they don't require you to take your stuff off before you enter the ride. They put this super loose basket thing in front of you, and because I wear glasses and stuff, I'm always afraid to lose them. But it's a super fun ride. I really enjoy it. It's really fast. The takeoff is incredible. The first time I ever went, my wife was like super scared of the takeoff because you go from like 0 to 60, just like, poof, it just shoots you out there, and it's really, really awesome for that. There's not much to look at outside of the queue and the exit. So it's basically you're in a limo and you're going through the cities of Los Angeles trying to get to your concert. But it's like just like panels here and there in the ride itself. So it's not much to look at. That's probably why it's so low on the list, but it is a very fun one to be in, and that's why I put it into my top 10. Number 9. Dinosaur over at Animal Kingdom. Dinosaur's a completely dark ride, so you're inside the whole time, and you're in this vehicle that transport you back into the time of the dinosaurs, so you could retrieve a rare dinosaur that a scientist wants you to bring back to modern time in the time machine. And a bunch of stuff ensues, and it's while the meteor shower that's making the dinosaurs extinct is happening. And it's a really fun adventure. The little video before is pretty cool. The queue's pretty cool, but the ride is what gives it a space on the top 10. It's janky a little bit, but it's not super fast, but there's a lot of twists and turns in it, which is very, very interesting and something I like very much. There's a lot to see. There's a lot of cool dinosaur scenes, and it goes from slow to fast, like depending on how the car is performing. So when you see a dinosaur, you kind of maybe stop or you look at it, and then, or if you're being chased, then you go fast, and it's really cool. It's got a great ending to it with a photo pass picture opportunity and a big dinosaur that attacks you. It's really, really awesome ride, and I thought was deserving a spot on the top 10. Number 8. Expedition Everest. This is another roller coaster, and one that I like better than Big Thunder Mountain. It's at the Animal Kingdom, and it's pretty much a normal roller coaster, but it does something very different, that it mostly takes place backwards. So you go forwards for a while as you climb Mount Everest, and then the tracks stop, and then for a good portion of the ride, you go backwards. And that's very, very interesting. It's something I've never done before in a roller coaster, so I really dig that aspect of it. There's not much to look at, but it is very pretty to see kind of Animal Kingdom as a whole as you're climbing Mount Everest. There are a few things to look at, like right before you go backwards, and of course the infamous Yeti that unfortunately I've never seen fully function. Apparently he used to move around a lot more, but because it would always break down, they really put him to a limited mobility. But it is very cool to look at. He's really huge, and it's one of the most thrilling rides at Walt Disney World, and that's why it earned a spot on the list. Number 7. Soaring Around the World. Or used to be Soaring Over California. This is an Epcot attraction. You're basically in a seat that mimics being kind of in a flight motion, and it's a giant screen, and everything takes place on a screen, so you're not actually ever really moving. It does sway back and forth and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. If you have a fear of heights, something to think about, because it is very high. it's cool. I just, there's something about this ride that I really adore. I was really kind of back and forth whether this is better than Everest or not. And on any given day, they could switch places. But what I like about this one is not only do you get a feeling like you're really at these places and flying over them, but you also get like the smells and everything. So they actually input like the smells and air conditioning and air resistance and stuff like that. So it really gives you kind of that extra little something that makes you feel like you're flying over these places. I really dig history, geography, and that kind of stuff. So to see kind of historical monuments as well, and you get to fly over them, it's probably as close as I'll ever be to actually being to a lot of these things. So it's just a really cool ride. Now, the one downside to it, and it does take a little bit of points off it, is if you're not in the middle car, so I think it's 4 rows, if you're not in the middle, the screen might appear a little warped. So for example, you're going to see the Eiffel Tower, and obviously the Eiffel Tower is straight, and if you're on the side, as you fly over it, it's going to kind of warp to the side, and it's a really weird feeling, and it kind of takes the illusion out of it, and that's unfortunate, and that's because the screen is kind of in a ball, as opposed to being a flat screen. But it's still a very enjoyable ride, one that I like very much, and one that I recommend that you check out if you do head over to Epcot at Walt Disney World. Number 6, Pirates of the Caribbean at the Magic Kingdom. Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the most classic Walt Disney World attractions that there are. You're on a boat and you go through an entire pirate scene with a ton of animatronics. They've added Jack Sparrow, which personally I don't think really detracted from the ride. Some people do think that it took away from the attraction aspect of it because it's Disney inserting kind of their IPs into it, but I never thought that was bad. I mean, I actually like the inclusion of his animatronic. Looks really good. There are some really killer scenes in this one from like the beginning. One of my favorite scenes of all of Walt Disney World. I mean, I'm a big horror fan, so it shouldn't surprise you. There's this one like pirate skeleton kind of on a ghost ship, and he's kind of sailing away. It's right near the beginning. It's a really cool effect. And of course, you see big battles between pirates, and you see what used to be an auction. I don't remember what it is now, but with the red lady, it now has a shotgun, whereas she used to be like for sale. I don't really mind the change. That's a whole other debate, but it was fine. Actually, it's cool to see something different but similar, so at least there was that. There's a really cool like city on fire scene, and there's a lot of great songs and all that stuff. So there's a lot to love about Pirates of the Caribbean. I really love animatronics. That's one of my big things, and you'll kind of see that in the next few. I love this type of ride. It's slow, there's water, there's just a lot to love. There's a certain smell this ride has as well that every time I'm there, I know that I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. This is awesome. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. So Pirates of the Caribbean absolutely had to be on the list. Number 5. Spaceship Earth over at Epcot. Spaceship Earth is the big ball at Epcot, the iconic ball that you see right in all the pictures pretty much of Epcot, and that's right at the center. Well, not the center, because it's actually at the start, at the front of Epcot, and it's just so cool. Again, I'm into history, I'm into animatronics. It's slow, it's dark. There's not usually a huge line, but the lines have been getting bigger. They're actually going to do a huge refurb on it over the next 2 years, so I don't know how much they're going to change on it, but for right now, it's just a walk, well, not a walk, but a ride through the history of communications, starting from the cavemen all the way to Bill Gates. I think it's Bill Gates. I'm pretty sure it's Bill Gates in his garage inventing like computer softwares and stuff, and everything in between, from Michelangelo painting and the beginning of radio, and there's some really, really cool scenes. You get to go to Rome, you get to go to Greece, you get to go to Egypt. There's just a really cool historical ride. It's narrated beautifully by Dame Judi Dench, which is amazing. There's a little like interactive thing that you could play with that kind of passes the time as you're making your way down from the ball, because you're going kind of in a circle up the ball, and then at the end you see the moon, and then you have to like come down. So there's nothing to do when you're coming down because there are no more animatronics. So they put a video and it's interactive. There's just a lot to like about this ride, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. It is a little dated. It really has that 80s look and smell still to it. But the animatronics are fantastic. The ride is fun. It's long. I think it's like 17, 18 minutes. So definitely something that I love to do every single time I go to Epcot, and very deserving of a spot on the list. Number 4. Splash Mountain over at Magic Kingdom. Splash Mountain is a log ride, so pretty typical of a lot of these types of parks. You're in a log and you go up and then you go down, and you get to go through these steep kind of drops. But what makes this so cool is all the stuff inside of the mountain itself. You have a whole scene. I think the movie Song of the South, which I don't recommend watching because it's super racist, but they take away the racist part of it, thank God. And they keep kind of the cuddly animals that you get to follow as you follow Brer Rabbit adventure as he gets captured, and a bunch of stuff ensues. There's a lot of really cool scenes, a lot of great music. It's got that musty water smell ride that I love so much as well. It's very long. There's just a lot to love about this ride. It ends with a really cool, well, it doesn't end with it, but you got a really cool like long drop that is also a photo op for the photo pass. And then that great number right at the end on the boat. And what is apparently the biggest animatronic at Walt Disney World is that boat that's singing Zippity Doo Dah. Just a fantastic classic Walt Disney ride, and I absolutely adore it. So that's why I put a spot on the list. Number 3. The Hollywood Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios. I'm a big fan of horror. If you watch my channel, you kind of get an idea of that already. So of course, something devoted to the Twilight Zone and to horror is something I'm going to be really into. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is that facade, like the building itself, is probably the most impressive thing that you'll see at Walt Disney World. Now, a lot of people say Cinderella's Castle, maybe also the tree at Animal Kingdom, or the Spaceship Earth at Epcot. But for me, there is nothing I like to look at more than the Hollywood Tower Hotel. It is imposing, it is huge, it looks amazing in a day, it looks amazing at night. I've taken 100 pictures of myself in front of it because it is so cool. I just love staring at it. When I'm waiting in line at the Rock and Roller Coaster, I'm always looking up and looking at how awesome it is. Now, the ride itself is really short, but there's so much cool stuff happening in the queue. The details they put into the hotel, like it's how it's abandoned and all that stuff, is fantastic. There's just a lot to love about this ride. And the dropping, the actual ride part of the whole thing is really, really cool. It's randomized, so you never know what you're going to get. It's always different. And it's just such an amazing ride. It's got a nice story throughout. It's spooky, it's scary. There's just a lot of fun things. And I love their gift shop at the end. I love exclusive gift shops. Some of these do have, some of them don't, but this one definitely has a cool one. And one that maybe on this list, if I'm looking at it, is the one I've ridden the most of all the rides at Walt Disney World. That's partially because I really love it, but also partially because there wasn't a lot else to ride at Hollywood Studios until recently. I was always like this, Rock and Roller Coaster, great movie ride, rest in peace, I love that ride, and Star Tours, and Toy Story Mania. So that's like 5 things to really do there. And Toy Story Mania was crazy at the time. Movie ride I would do once or twice, but it's a really long thing, so I didn't do it often. Star Tours makes me sick. I do it once or twice, but it makes me kind of sick because of the movement. Rock and Roller Coaster again, because it's a long line and stuff. So I ended up going to Tower of Terror a lot, and I sometimes do it 8 to 10 times every time I go there. So I have a lot of experience on this ride, and I absolutely love it, and that's why I put it at number 3. Number 2. Avatar Flight of Passage over at Animal Kingdom. When they said that they were going to build the world of Pandora at Animal Kingdom, I was like, I don't know. I love Avatar, the movie and everything, but I don't like super love it, and it's not a world that I was that interested in exploring. But holy damn, when they built that thing, it is impressive. And what makes it the most impressive, other than how cool it is to see the floating mountains and stuff, and how they really use that forced perspective to mess with your mind, this attraction, as far as on the fun scale, this is my number 1. It is amazing. From the theming into the queue, into how you get onto your Banshee or your Cry to the actual experience. So you're basically on this bike that mimics a Avatar Banshee, or I think it's called a Cry is what the actual like Na'vi name for it is. And then kind of like soaring, a big screen appears in front of you, but the immersion in this one is off the wall. It's probably the most fun ride that I've ever been on ever in any theme park. You'll see next week I'm doing my top 10 Universal Orlando list. This one is my favorite. So it would beat anything on that list, anything on this list. Now the only reason I have a number one that's higher is because I have more of a deeper connection with that one, but we'll get there. But Flight of Passage, as far as fun goes, as far as immersion goes, as far as you need to get on this damn ride if you go to Animal Kingdom or Walt Disney World, Flight of Passage is fantastic, and I could not recommend it enough. It is an A+ ride, and I really hope that Star Wars kind of follows that trend of being amazing new attractions. So yeah, Flight of Passage definitely had to be on the list. Number 1, the Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom. Now, if you've been watching this video or you've watched my channel in the past, you've seen that I am a giant Haunted Mansion fan. My bedroom, which is where I'm recording right now, is 100% themed to the Haunted Mansion. I am obsessed with this ride. My fandom of horror and Halloween and Disney all come together to do this fantastic attraction, a classic attraction for Walt Disney World, and a world that I absolutely adore being in. I love everything about the Haunted Mansion. The theming in the queue, the theming, the way that the people who work there act, and every part of this ride, from the foyer at the beginning to the elevator, not the elevator, sorry, that's not what's supposed to be an elevator, but the picture stretching room, to the Doom Buggy, to everything on that attraction. I love every single part of it. And I always buy a ton of stuff to put in this room. I'm constantly working on putting more and more stuff. If you want to check out my reveal video of what my room looks like, I will put the link in the description below. And in October, I'm going to do like an actual talking tour, kind of showing each piece individually and explaining what each thing is and why it means so much to me and what connection it has to the Haunted Mansion and that kind of stuff. Because I did put a stupid amount of thought into what I put into this room. For example, right here, I'm looking at a flower pot. I mean, it's got flowers in it. Doesn't really seem to mean anything, but there are exactly 5 black flowers and 1 red flower on top. It's the bride on the red flower and her 5 different dead husbands. Like, I really put a lot of thought into this room. I love this attraction. It is everything to me. The only reason I've done like Tower of Terror more than this one is because, like I said, there's a lot to see at Magic Kingdom. There wasn't as much to see at Hollywood Studios. So if I'm spending the day at both parks, at Magic Kingdom, I want to do some other stuff too, you know. But I do Haunted Mansion a lot as well because I adore it. It's a nice, slow ride, a lot of great animatronics, a lot of great effects as well, ghost effects and stuff like that. And the store, Memento Mori, I spent so much money in that store. It's like kind of ridiculous, but I love it. I love everything about the Haunted Mansion, and that's why it's my number 1. Let me know, what are your top 5, 10, 15, 20, I don't care. Let's just talk some Disney attractions. I love talking about this stuff. Like I said, I go every single year, and it's like a big thing for me. And yeah, I just want to talk Disney with you guys. So let me know what your favorite attractions are. Did I miss some? Am I like, well, why isn't, Buzz Lightyear's ride on here? Why is, Toy Story Mania not on here? It's a Small World, or Aladdin, or anything. So just let me know what you think, what your favorite rides are. I would love to discuss it. And next week, like I said, it will be my top 10 favorite Universal Studios Orlando rides, because I go there every year as well for Halloween Horror Nights. So that's going to be a fun one to do as well. And like I said, don't check out my room tour. I'm telling you, I put a lot of thought into it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on the flip side. Goodbye.